Hey there, it's Jordan Sheridan, status Coup. We're outside in front of the apartment in New York City of Stephen Donziger. Stephen Donziger, who is an attorney who's been under house arrest now today for the 700th day. That's 2 years, basically. Stephen Donziger has been under house arrest. As you can see, protesters are here. Roger Waters, the famous musician, is here. Susan Sarandon is expected to be here. Some other folks are going to speak. If you don't know the story, I've seen and heard a lot of outrageous things. This is at the top of the list. Stephen Donziger is, oh, by the way, smash the like button, thumbs up right under the video. More people that press the like button, the more people that will see this. Share this live stream. Stephen Donziger, along with others that helped him, won a historic lawsuit against Chevron for basically destroying parts of the Amazon in Ecuador that got people very sick. Looks like people are going over there. Got people very sick, got people contaminated the Amazon. People died from the toxins that Chevron was dumping in the Amazon in Ecuador. So Stephen Donziger helped them win a $9 billion settlement for the people of Ecuador that, in response, instead of paying that sum, Chevron has launched an unholy war on Stephen Donziger, which includes corruption, judges that have ties to Chevron, unheard of things in the legal system, like this lawyer not having the ability to have a jury, this lawyer being under house arrest for a misdemeanor contempt charge, also unheard of. The federal prosecutors refused to try this case because it's flimsy. But a judge then hired a private attorney to go after Stephen Donziger, essentially on behalf of the U.S. government, if you could believe that. Let's go over there so we could show more people. Again, this is Stephen Donziger's apartment over here, but protesters are gathering over here. Let's see. So this is, Roger Waters, famous musician. Hold on one second. I'll try to get him in a minute. But Roger Waters, who's, infamous for environmental activism, he's been fighting to get this story more attention. So is Susan Sarandon. Obviously, you see the protesters out. We'll talk to some of them. This has really gotten, other than independent media, not a lot of national media attention. Frankly, as Stephen Donziger has exposed, essentially the New York Times' main First Amendment lawyer, his firm is the one, pretty much the lead attorneys working to charge go after Stephen Donziger. Stephen Donziger expects to face jail time, but the only thing he's under house arrest for is a contempt charge because he would not hand over attorney-client privilege documents. He would not hand over his computers, phones. He's an attorney, so he would not hand them over because they were asking not only for his cases in regards to Chevron on the Amazon, and Chevron's pollution that killed people in Ecuador, they were asking for other cases too. So, want to come on in?
Yeah, from WBAI radio. I was just trying to follow what you were saying.
No problem. Let's see. Hold on. Anybody want to come on, chat about your activism here? We're live. Don't be shy.
Familiar with the Assange case than I am with the Donziger
That's okay.
case, but there
That's
are
okay.
some similarities.
So talk to me, because you were mentioning you're much more familiar with the Assange case, but there are a lot of similarities here.
Yes, and I am not as familiar with the Donziger case, except that it's another instance of a prosecution system operating outside the rule of law, you know, with conflicts of interest and just court cases that should be thrown out of court. This is unconscionable that this man is being held for, what is it, 700 days?
Yeah.
700 days in house arrest with, I know very little about this. I should get Nadine to talk more.
Have you ever heard of a lawyer, an environmental lawyer being...
Yeah, Donziger.
No. Have you ever heard of an environmental lawyer being under house arrest for 700 days for a misdemeanor charge?
No, of course not. And this is what's wrong. And, you know, I'm not that familiar, but apparently the judge and the prosecutor are paid for by Chevron, I think is the case.
They have connections to Chevron.
A bad person to talk about this. Let me get Nadine. Who I know more.
Yeah, you can find somebody.
But like the Assange case, I just want to say, where, for example, it was just revealed on the 26th that the key witness in his indictment lied in exchange for a plea deal from the FBI. And where is the mainstream media covering that? You know, the LA Times did an op-ed 2 or 3 days ago. No mention of it anywhere. It's become a news story in and of itself. The fact that nobody's talking about the case should be thrown out, just the way his should be thrown out.
Not only that the main witness lied, but the FBI basically coerced them into lying. So the charges against Assange, as we always knew, were trumped up. But it just goes to show you they tried to find this witness for a totally separate thing in Iceland, trying to pretend that Julian Assange convinced this person to hack into Iceland's government. But basically the FBI coerced this person to lie.
That's right. And the minister there, whose name escapes me, in Iceland, actually cottoned on to the FBI and asked them to leave once he realized they were there for nefarious reasons and trying to snare Assange. So kudos to him. But it's just we have no rule of law, you know, and then we have a media that doesn't report what's going on. So the people are in darkness and don't know, because if they knew, they'd be outraged.
Right. You think it has anything to do with Chevron maybe advertising on said media outlets?
Are they going to do what?
You think it might have something to do with Chevron, other fossil fuel companies pouring in advertisements to those media companies?
Well, of course, but, you know, I've seen too many documentaries of what took place where the pollution from Chevron, I mean, it's horrific. The water that they fish from, drink, need, you know, their water supply, their rivers, their water where they get their water to bathe, to drink, to fish, to live off, looks like black gunk. Everybody, the populations have cancer, the children are born with deformities, the animals have cancer, they're farm animals.
Water's black.
Like, but gunky, like, you know, when you get tar on the beach on your heel, well, it's like that's what the water is like. And it's just toxic poison that's destroyed the lives and the communities of those people. I mean, it's horrific.
What's your name?
Susan Dieterich.
Thank you, Susan. I appreciate it. So that's just one person, and there are a lot of similarities to the Assange case. Let's walk over here for a little bit.
Yeah, we're protesting.
So here you have the sign, Free Donziger, Chevron with the lies, Free Donziger. Some protesters holding up the sign here. There's Roger Waters, who I'm going to try to chat with in a bit. Can I ask you, ma'am, tell me about why you're out here? Oh, it's starting. Never mind. Looks like it's starting now, so we'll speak with people after. Again, if you come into this just now, today it marks 700 days that environmental attorney and human rights attorney Stephen Donziger has been imprisoned. There's Susan Sarandon next to Roger Waters. Will they pick up the mic?
Together this way.
Not what they're saying, no. Okay.
About
He's like, is there anybody else? I'm like,
So you have a significant amount of people taking pictures right now for Susan Sarandon, Roger Waters. So it looks like they'll be speaking shortly. Smash that like button. Share this stream. More people that press like, the more people that will see this.
wherever
over the refugee or to Julian.
There's
They're so busy trying to
growing number of people here. I'd put it at, looks like about 100 people on this corner on the Upper West Side on 104th Street.
the internet by and large suffer
No problem.
by and large. So
And
they go and have little meetings in the Pentagon, decide who to censor, who not to censor. Because the people in the Pentagon know a lot more than the ordinary people.
and there's signs. The Amazon holds the answers to questions we haven't asked yet. The Earth thanks you, Stephen Donziger. Ecuador, the flag of Ecuador. And I think they're about to speak. That's why I'm not putting the mic in their face. And still, at this point, 700 days into this, the New York Times has not covered this. So. So I'm about to, after this guy's done, talk to Susan Sarandon.
Stephen Donziger has been 700 days under illegal house arrest. Why are you here?
Thank you so much. I've been speaking with
And wow, every time I look around, there's a lot more people here. It started at about 50. Looks like there's well over 100 people here now around here. And this is Ron Coup here. He's a radio host in New York City, well known.
No, I say, I like that.
Roger, can I ask you a question? Ooh. Roger,
Hey, brother. Here we go again.
mind if I ask you a question?
Let the ladies.
Oh, sure.
Gentlemen. Sorry, gentlemen.
I wanted to ask you,
Gentlemen.
sorry,
Sorry.
you've covered so many, you've been active in so many of these. Have you ever heard a story like this in America where a human rights attorney is under house arrest for this long?
No, I haven't, but only because I'm ignorant. No, I happen to know that it's never happened before.
Right. And it seems to me...
No, in the old days, they'd have just strung him out from the nearest tree on the outskirts of town, put a rope round his neck and hung him, because rough justice was what was understood, 100 years ago maybe or more. And they, I mean, I'm sure they still do that when they can get away with it, but now they do this instead.
And they have the media on their side because the national media has been abysmal on this, very little.
Yeah, it has. This and Assange and obviously hundreds of other cases of miscarriages of justice, because the law is only for the rich and powerful in the United States. We all know.
What do you think is the end game here? Do you see more people getting involved in this?
Who knows? You never know, do you? This isn't 2 million people standing in the street going, what is wrong with our country? This is insane, is it? There's what, a couple of hundred of us.
All right, they're starting now.
There will be plenty of time to do so. The most important thing right now is that we start the rally. I would like to introduce you to Stephen Donziger's wife, Laura Donziger.
Welcome. As you can see, Stephen is up at the window. This is 700 days.
You see inside?
I want to thank you all for coming. Your support is just keeping us all going. And I am going to introduce Lino, and I'm going to Wapustrik, if I'm pronouncing, who is going to start.
Lino Wapumsvik. Lino Wapumsvik is here.
As the leader?
He's the leader and president of the Shuar Nation in the Ecuadorian Amazon. So please welcome him. Thank you, Lino, for being here.
Bueno, muy buenas tardes a todos los hermanos de diferentes lugares que se han hecho presencia hoy para poder dar un apoyo a nuestro hermano Steven, al hombre guerrero, al hombre valiente.
He would like to welcome everybody, and he's also thanking Stephen for his enormous support of 2 years in illegal house arrest, by the way. So he has a few words to say about his home. So, Lino, por favor, explique lo que está pasando en la Amazonía ahora mismo, por favor.
Quisiera pedirles que le den un aplauso al hermano Steven, al abogado Steven, que está ahí dentro de esas ventanas, por ser un hombre defensor, por ser un hombre defensor del pueblo, de los hermanos ecuatorianos. Mi nombre es Lino Wamputri, quien vengo representando, quien represento a los pueblos y las nacionalidades indígenas de la Amazonía ecuatoriana. Vengo de la nacionalidad Shuar, quien somos 100% originarios de esa Amazonía, los defensores y de los pueblos y nacionalidades indígenas del Ecuador.
¿Cuál es su función específicamente?
Yo soy el presidente de la organización de la Nación Shuar, New York City.
Muchas gracias.
He would like everybody to give an applause to Stephen for being in house arrest and standing up for the Amazon and the 2,000 indigenous people that have perished due to the ecocide crimes that Chevron has done. He also would like to let you know that he's here representing the Shuar Nation, and they are the original earth defenders, and there needs to be respect because corporations now are not respecting his people and all the indigenous people around this world, and he wants to recognize that. Later he will have a ceremony, hopefully, if it doesn't pour on us. Maybe they're the ancestors talking to us right now, but he was going to lead us in ceremony in remembrance and solidarity for the 2,000 lives lost and counting, because people are still dying in the Ecuadorian Amazon, and also, yes, for the people that are still fighting on the ground.
I'm wondering if we should all move under the thing. Okay?
No, después.
You know what? Let's go.
Here. Okay.
No.
Bueno, quisiera comentarles lo que estamos pasando.
No, ahora no, porque se va a llover. Vamos a la próxima persona, por favor.
Ok.
Pero diga
Bueno, pues muy agradecido con todos los hermanos que están aquí para seguir, para conocer sobre lo que está pasando en la Amazonía ecuatoriana, con lo que esta compañía Chevron nos ha venido destruyendo.
So right now, they're going to move because it's about to downpour here in New York, in the city. It's supposed to thunder and lightning, actually. So they are going to move down here underneath this kind of awning that I'm standing under. The lightning and thunder are pretty good symbolism for what's been going on to Stephen. So here we go. This is going to be pretty packed, but better packed. So hang with us as they move here under the awning.
Jordan, do great work.
Hey, thanks, man. I don't know if it's national media or not. And Stephen is looking outside.
this covered.
Okay. Hold on, folks. We're trying to cover the equipment so it doesn't get wet.
So just pull this over.
All right. Hold on.
Sarandon, who is an incredible friend and supporter. Say a few words.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for coming on this hot day. We may be cooled off any second now by what feels like a gathering storm, and I'm so happy to welcome you all. You know, today was so humid and so hot, and everyone was drinking water, and it made me think how horrible it would be to be one of these people who live where Chevron has contaminated your water, where you can't bathe, where you can't cook, you can't drink water that is clean because they purposefully dumped all their toxic waste on in their water source. So we're here today to bring attention to the 2,000 people who have died, 2,000 plus people who have died, and the many people that are suffering still because of Chevron. What's happening now with Stephen is such an injustice that threatens all of us who think we have a justice system that is working properly. But as horrible as that is, what we want to do today is just say how we hold those people in Ecuador in our hearts, that we have a space for them, and we promise that we will continue to work to bring them justice and to get the settlement that they deserve, so that they can be amended as best as possible, and we can get them clean water and help them with everyone who has cancer and birth defects and all the things that Chevron has left in its wake. So I thank you all for being here. It's important to pass the word because the mainstream press is not covering this. The New York Times lawyer is also Chevron's lawyer. So that's one excuse. But, you know, where is everyone else? And I appreciate any press that is here today. Thank you so much for coming, because the best thing that we can do is to find a way to gather opinion and give the Ecuadorians, the people of Ecuador, a voice. And now I am segueing into one of the all-time great voices, Roger Waters, who's here, who has been a spokesperson and a defender of unpopular causes for as long as I've known about him and forever. So here's Roger Waters to tell you his experience and why he's here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Suzanne. Have my stage. Close to the mic.
One.
I don't know if this thing is. I might need your speaker, Roger, next time.
Yeah, I mean, next time I'll bring a PA from the band, and we can put it out from that end of the street to that end of the street. Actually, what we should do really is just build a huge stage over the street to accommodate the hundreds and hundreds of my colleagues who desperately wish they were standing alongside all of you here this afternoon. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe they missed the bus. Or maybe, no, I'm not going to go there because I'm not a comic. So I'm a musician, as most of you know. But it is pretty fucking weird that all my colleagues are not here this afternoon with you good people. And I can't tell you how proud and happy I am to be with this group of people who are here waiting for the hailstones to fall on us. From above. I wish I had a better memory for the English language. If I did, I could quote voluminously from the scene in Henry V, about this happy few, we band of brothers, and there is a bed in England who were whatever themselves, that are cursed they were not here, and blah, 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 and all of that. So let's hear it for the bard, for William Shakespeare of Stratford-on-Avon. I'm sure if he was still alive today, he would have been here, and he would be writing a play now about Lewis A. Kaplan and Loretta Preska, the two arch villains of this piece, and Stephen Donziger, who languages in his apartment, which is somewhere beyond that tree there. Unfortunately, they prevailed upon us to move from the spot where we could have gazed adoringly up at him. And while I talk about gazing adoringly up at Stephen Donziger, I seem to recall about 10 minutes ago, our friend, wherever he is, the chief from, there he is, my man here, the main man, he asked us all to applaud Stephen Donziger, so let's do it. Yes. Yay! Stephen! And thank you so much. It's great that you're here. Can I shake your hand? Good man. What else? Susan quite rightly brought up the fact that this country is completely fucked, that it has no kind of a judicial system to be proud of at all. In Stephen's case, Martin Garbus, who along with Ron Kirby is the one of the lawyers involved in this case, wrote a wonderful letter that I read last week to the Department of Justice, where we pointed out that the whole case is completely unconstitutional because the appalling advocate for the prosecution, Rita Glavin, has nobody standing over her saying, "I'm sorry, Rita, but you can't do that." And it's unconstitutional for a prosecution, in a federal criminal prosecution, to not have anybody above them in the hierarchy watching what they do. So on those grounds alone, according to Marty Garbus, this case should have been thrown out last Friday, and the Friday before, and the Friday before that, and for 100 Fridays before that.
That's right.
Well, it's not quite 700 weeks, but it's a bloody long time. And so none of us will be happy until this case is thrown out of court. Can we shame them into doing it? I doubt it. Lewis A. Kaplan and Loretta Preska are shameless. Both of them. So what else have I got to say? It's raining quite hard through this hole. But Laura didn't notice when she dragged us over here and said, "Stand under this hole and speak to the assembled multitude through the rain." So I have. And I think maybe I should start telling jokes. No, I shouldn't, because Stephen, this is no laughing matter, my friend.
That's right.
And he knows that I'm right, and you know that I'm right, don't you? Yeah. Yes, he knows that I'm right. So I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to let one of our great legal, Ron Kirby, is now going to give you a few proper words of wisdom from a legal perspective. So all I can say is this: I love you all. I love you, or I love you all. With quite a deep passion, I have to say, because to turn up here today on this hot, rainy Tuesday afternoon does you all enormous credit. So I love you, okay? Here's Ron. I love Ron too, by the way. Stand in the rainy bit.
Excuse me, I'm going to just move over out of the rain. Some of us have enough sense to get out of the rain.
A little bit closer.
Mouth closer to mic.
Sorry, next time I'll get a better.
FreeDonziger.com is the website. Everybody hear that?
Yes.
Can everybody hear me? Well, okay. I'm Ron Kuby. I'm one of Stephen's lawyers, and I come here with good news and bad news. Which would you like to hear first? I'll give you the good news. The good news is that Stephen Donziger is not going to be spending another 100 days in home confinement. Hey! The bad news is Judge Loretta Preska is going to put him in jail. Now, I'm not just saying that to win rhetorical points. She has made it completely clear in the course of the pretrial process and in the course of the trial itself that she intends to incarcerate Stephen Donziger. Now, this is not in her interests. It's not in the interests of the federal judiciary. It's really not even in Chevron's interests to further make a martyr out of Stephen Donziger. Similarly, it was not in Chevron's interests in 2017. They had won the case. It was over. Stephen sued. He lost. It was affirmed. The Court of Appeals affirmed, and the Supreme Court refused to hear the case. It was, for all intents and purposes, it was over. But you know, Chevron just couldn't help itself. So instead of taking the win, they decided to demonize Stephen, to bury Stephen in paper, to threaten Stephen with contempt, and ultimately engineer a set of unprecedented criminal contempt charges. They created this out of their simple inability to just win and walk away. Instead, they created a movement around Stephen Donziger. They created and reignited a movement around the indigenous people of Ecuador who have suffered so terribly from Chevron's pollution. They created a movement around this moment. And you have to ask yourself, why are these people acting in a fashion that is so utterly irrational? And for me, the answer is kind of terrifying. These people, Chevron, its corporate heads, the fossil fuel industry, its corporate enabler judges, are no longer rational actors when it comes to these issues. They decided to send a message to Stephen and to everybody else who might stand up. And the message is, we will crush you. We will criminalize you. We'll take away your profession. And then, when you're broken, we'll walk away. Well, we have a message to send back to them. And I'll frame it in the most careful legal language that I can speak. Fuck you. Just fuck you. We will not be crushed. Stephen will not be bent. You, the fossil fuel industry, you can feel that your end is near. We will bury you. The only question is just how much of this planet are you going to destroy before we destroy you? And that, my friends, is the question. Thank you so much.
And next, I will pass the microphone to...
Hi, everyone. Does this work?
You have to kind of go close.
Hi, everyone. Jeremiah, City Workers for Justice. Happy to be here. Just want to also remind every camera here to tag every elected official in the city of New York, because one of their constituents is upstairs, 700 days, and we have not heard a peep from many of the local elected officials. So we're calling on every elected official Congress member, senator, council member, assembly member to do the brave thing, do the bold thing, not when it's just re-election season, but now when we need you to show up and stand up for Stephen. We are happy to have with us today one of the brave council members that's here. She just won her election, and so we're very happy that one of her first stops is here with us. I'd like to bring forth Sandy Nurse.
Hey everyone. Hi everyone, my name's Sandy. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, council member elect, nominee, future elect.
She just won.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here in solidarity with Stephen Donziger and with all of the people around the world, the Ecuadorian people. I'm originally from Panama, so we are neighbors, and we are both coming from countries that have been subject to U.S. domination and colonization of many other interests in service of corporations. So I'm here to be in solidarity with you all. I'm very excited to just be here with you all in the rain. We're not fair weather protesters. This is a very long movement. I come here as a longtime environmental justice organizer and activist. I've been supporting these causes for a long time and supporting international solidarity movements for a long time. So I just want to say that in my new role, I'm so excited to be able to have the first thing I'm doing after the campaign trail is to be here in solidarity. This case is a total affront to our democracy. It is the reason why I'm running. I was someone who didn't take any money from oil and gas industries or any major industries that are hell-bent on destroying our communities, that are hell-bent on destroying our planet. Indigenous peoples have been under attack, violent attack, for as long as time. And so we have to continue to move forward. We have to continue to support the legal professionals who are actually helping people get actual recourse and resources for the damages that are done. Because a lot of times these wars are fought, a lot of times violence happens, people are killed. Governments send their goons to murder environmental justice activists and indigenous people who are standing up and just fighting for their homelands. So we have to continue to support people like Steve, who is out here trying to represent the voice of the voiceless, those who do not have access to resources to speak and fight for their cases. So I encourage everyone certainly to donate to the Legal Defense Fund. I don't know the website, I forgot it already.
FreeDonziger.com.
Yes, please spread that word. I'm here, I'm excited to continue to use this role in whatever way I can to lift up these struggles and to push forth in whatever way through the City Council to get us off of a fossil fuel economy, to stop pipelines from being constructed here, to stop the fossil fuel economy and move us into the future that we can survive. We are a coastline community, we are a frontline community, and so therefore we have to be in solidarity, we have to work together, we have to make sure that New York City transitions so that countries like Ecuador and indigenous peoples around the world are not violently exploited, violently dominated, and destroyed in service of what's happening here in the United States. So I'm just happy to be here. Anything I can do to support, thank you to the city workers and everybody else, all the movements that are here, all of the movements who have been fighting for a very, very long time to even get us here. So thank you so much.
Sandy. Thank you so much, Sandy, and congratulations. So up next, we have you. Joyce, do you want to say a few words? Yeah. Joyce Sanchez. Welcome, Joyce. Tell your title and everything.
Hi, my name is Joyce Sanchez. I'm a county committee member, District 37 from Queens, New York, and I'm representing the Ecuadorian community in New York City in total and full support to Stephen Donziger. We demand justice for Stephen Donziger, and we want to fight back this kind of judicial corruption initiated by Chevron and similar oil companies and similar companies that are starting to do this. The Ecuadorian community is backing up Stephen, and we will be rallying for him, and if we have to go to Washington, D.C., we will. We don't know what the verdict is right now, but that's in our plans to be in full support to Stephen. we need to also push back. This is unacceptable, completely unacceptable. We cannot accept this, what's going on in our courts. I mean, it's outrageous the way how Loretta Prescott, and I mean, if you guys just do the research, there's plenty of information in Stephen's website. You can read, you can educate yourselves about this. It's our concern, all of us. And this is like a concern not only in this state, in this city, I would say nationwide, because this corruption is nationwide. I don't think that Chevron is only doing stuff here. They tried to corrupt judges in Ecuador. They didn't. And now that they got, when they got the $9.5 billion to pay, now they sued Stephen, alleging that he, did a bunch of stuff there, and that's completely a lie. There's plenty of information, plenty of evidence, and we just want him, we just want real justice. This is fake justice, all right? This is fake justice and fake news. This is real news, though. Yeah. This is real news, all right? So I think we have Lino Wanfotik. He's also from Ecuador. Lino, there's a vigil going on that we have planned tonight. We're going to be distributing small candles, and it's a vigil. The rain is accompanying us, very romantic, and I don't know, like you say, maybe the ancestors and all those dead people that have, it's like 2,000 people that have died, and they're still suffering. I mean, it's incredible how Loretta Prescott is just saying and denying that contamination ever happened there. I mean, it's just like outrageous. I can't, yeah, exactly. But it's until she gets the water and her water, she cannot drink it anymore, then she will believe on this. I mean, I don't know what she's waiting for. So I think I'm gonna pass it on to Jada, and she will, we will gonna start with the vigil. Thank you very much.
I wanna. Hi. Thank you, Joyce. Joyce is a powerhouse. My name is Jada. I'm from Eco Shaker, my little environmental platform. I learned about this case about 3 months ago. Thank you, Stephen. He has awakened my soul, my mind. He's turned my activism into another being. I don't know. But I've given up everything that I've been working on to support Stephen. I've met the most incredible souls through this process, including Joyce, Lino, Susan, Roger, so many amazing, beautiful activists. Andrew from Sunrise Movement, who's here. Extinction Rebellion, who's here. Extinction Rebellion NYC. City Workers for Justice. Jeremiah is a pioneer. He should run for office. He's the founder of City Workers for Justice. We met at the anti-Chevron rally May 21st in Union Square. That's how a grass movement starts. We need everyone to join us. Everyone, because this hypocrisy has to end. And the fact that it's happening in our backyard, right here in New York City, to a fellow New Yorker, a human rights lawyer. What does that say to all the young student lawyers that want to be human rights lawyers and environmental rights lawyers? We cannot allow this to continue to happen. We all have to stand. We must stand close to Stephen, as close as we possibly can, especially now. When Judge Loretta Prescott is ready to release the verdict, we all have to show up. The minute the verdict comes out, I will make sure to plan something to support Stephen. Judge Loretta Prescott is scared. You know why? She knows she's actually a criminal. We'll be releasing more things about Judge Loretta Prescott. She likes to forge dockets. Yeah. We'll talk about that later. Yeah. You know what? Hear about it. Law 360 is here. Look it up. Lydia Radin. Yeah. That's all I have to say. Now. Yes. Stephen, we want you to come down. Yeah. We don't care if your little freaking machine on your ankle starts beeping.
For those that don't know, right now we're outside Stephen Donziger's apartment in New York City.
How they feel like they're going to movement to save Ecuador? Okay, so in a few minutes, my husband Alexi is going to read a poem that he wrote for this movement, for what's happening right now. Before he does that, I just want to say one thing though. Let's not forget the 2,000 and plus babies and children and indigenous people in the Ecuadorian Amazon that have perished to ecocide crimes by Chevron. Where is Michael Worth, the CEO of Chevron, who makes $33.1 million a year? Where are you when these people are dying? Where are you, Nadler? We've sent 24,000 emails to your office. Stephen Donziger has written a letter to you. Answer it! I'm sorry I'm yelling. This always happens because it makes me so damn angry.
Yeah, we should all yell!
If you have a seat as a representative of District 10, your job is to answer to your constituents.
That's right.
Answer!
That's right.
I demand Jerry Nadler to answer, and I know why you're not. Because your son, Michael Nadler, works for the Gibson, Dunn and Crutcher, the law firm that's prosecuted Stephen for decades. And guess what else? And guess what else? I'm going to, just a little educational point. The New York Times law firm is Gibson, Dunn and Crutcher. There he comes. There he comes. Yes,
So Stephen Donziger just came out of his apartment and is walking over to where people are speaking. So you will hear from him now.
Wow.
Thank you.
My phone is recorded.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. The feeling I am getting from this crowd really boosts my spirits, and my wife Laura I want to thank for helping organize this, and Jada and Roger. Where are you, Roger? I see him hanging back there. My friend Roger Waters and Susan Sarandon and Joyce, and I mean, I can't name everybody, but I don't know if I need this. I could probably talk better with it.
Okay. Go for it.
I'm going to talk without that. Damn the mic. First of all, isn't it amazing it's raining today?
Yeah.
I mean, like, this actually reminds me of a typical day in the Amazon of Ecuador where Chevron polluted the shit out of the land, okay? This is like it rained and they built these hundreds of waste pits. And it rains almost daily and these pits overflow and they have pipes and they run these poisonous waters into streams and rivers that people have to drink to survive. And they are literally dying in Ecuador. And there is a direct relationship between what I am going through personally and that problem. Okay, this goes way, way beyond Stephen Donziger. Please, let's remember the people of Ecuador. I was part of an international legal team that won a $9.5 billion judgment against Chevron on behalf of indigenous peoples and farmer communities who started with no money. Texaco and Chevron thought they couldn't do this kind of thing. They counted on people not being able to fight back. And we figured out a way through grit and struggle and tenacity and the support of so many people. And of course, unbelievable leadership at the community level in Ecuador to do a lawsuit, to play by the rules, to hold them accountable for the worst environmental disaster in the world ever created by an oil company. And folks, in the United States, it's our responsibility. This was an American company that went down to the Amazon and destroyed the lands of the indigenous peoples, including the compatriots of Lino, okay, the Sequoia, the Siona, the Quichua, the Waorani, the Kofan. Those are the 5 indigenous peoples in this region where Texaco played God and decided to dump billions of gallons of toxic waste that has literally led to hundreds, if not thousands of people dying. Nobody knows the number because no one gives enough of a shit to even have a doctor down there to count. This is my 700th day under detention. I am accused of a crime by a judge, one judge, Judge Kaplan, for not turning over my computer and cell phone to Chevron with all of our confidential case information, all of our privileged conversations with attorneys where we plan strategy to execute this judgment so that people can get money to clean up this environmental disaster. Okay, that's why I'm up there. In 1 month, it will be 2 years. 2 years. The maximum sentence, even if I were guilty, and I don't believe I am, but even if I were, is 6 months. What the hell is going on here in the United States of America?
Just do whatever they want.
We see this in other countries. It's happening here. It's called using the law in a violent way to silence people who speak out against injustice. It's how corporations take over the arms of our government. We already know they have huge influence over the executive branch, the president and the Congress, the judiciary as well. I'm being prosecuted by a Chevron law firm after the Southern District of New York, the regular federal prosecutor, refused to prosecute me. How the hell did that happen in the United States of America? We need to understand, ladies and gentlemen, this is about all of us. I know you know that. Tell everyone else. Because if they get away with this with me, they're coming after other people, and they already are, people who protest the fossil fuel industry, people who are trying to stop pipelines up in Minnesota right now, people who are in Standing Rock, okay? Greenpeace has been sued, just like I was, for its campaigns, and other groups, and they don't want people using their First Amendment rights in a democracy to be real advocates. So, I don't know what else to say, except on a, oh, did Alexi speak? Okay, hold on. On a personal level, there are so many faces here, Joyce and, my God, Sandy, or my new friend, and Jada, and Susan, Roger. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Alexi Lubomirsky, who, by the way, Alexi and Jada, who come together, they're married, found me on social media and came to our apartment and took pictures. What's that? Journalists took pictures. By the way, all the journalists here, thank you. By the way, is anyone here from the New York Times? I mean, think about that. I got people.
You have 2 minutes.
I got people flying in from Europe, 4,000 miles to interview me, and they're 30 minutes down the street by foot. They won't come. Okay? But anyway, all the journalists, thank you so much. Alexi, please step up here. I know you have something to say, and then we're going to go. By the way, don't leave. I think there's like a vigil to mourn the 2,000 Ecuadorians, by the way, who have died from this pollution. So let's keep this moving. Come on up.
Please stay if you can. We're gonna pass around candles while Alexi.
What is your verdict?
Someone asked when the verdict is. I don't know. She can do it whenever she wants, but she's in no rush because I'm locked up, in my opinion.
is just a 60-second poetic interlude before the real stuff begins. When faced with the enormity of each of this world's maladies, we are often struck down before we are even able to stand. Who am I to take on this battle? How can one person affect real change? And with just these two questions, we surrender our king in defeat. But let us not forget that a single tree cannot a forest make. But when all are together, they can be a mighty ocean of green, nurturing all life within its benevolent embrace. Just as each one of us alone cannot an army make, until arm in arm, side by side, in one voice we stand. Throw away fears of individual weakness, for collectively we can raise mountains and tear down walls. So use your unique strengths and rise up.
Amen.
If you are a leader, then lead. If you're a soldier, then fight. If you're an artist, then inspire. If you have a voice, then speak and be heard. Together we are the sum of the greatness untold, and together we will overcome.
Thank you, everybody. We're gonna pass candles around. If you want to stay, we are going to, no matter what's going on up there with the rain and the storm, we're still going to pay our respects to the lives lost to these ecocide crimes done by Texaco and Chevron. We have to remember these souls. Majority of them have died of cancer, stomach cancer, liver, you name it. And we have to come together in solidarity for them and for the people still suffering in the Ecuadorian Amazon and all over the world for these corporate crimes. We have to hold them accountable once and for all. Thank you, Stephen, for coming down.
Guys, I want to say one more thing, which is I neglected to thank Ron Kuby. Ron, I want to thank Ron. Raise your hand, brother.
You want to thank me? Go home!
I have 5 more minutes. Ron led a legal team at the recent trial that did a fabulous job and set us up for a great appeal. I want to tell everybody, I'm going to be convicted. Don't get caught up in what that means, okay? This was not a real trial. It was designed to convict. I did not stand a chance. There was no jury, couldn't defend myself, couldn't testify. But we have a great appeal, and we expect to win our appeal. We think this whole trial was illegal and unconstitutional. Thank you, Ron Kuby.
Hey, Steve, it's good to see you, Steve.
What?
It's good to see you. My name is Clifton. Hey, Clifton.
Thank you for coming, Clifton.
You're welcome.
Okay, what now? What now?
Sid, who works for the Ecuadorian community who are over here to help you.
Estoy súper agradecido a toda la comunidad de Ecuador en Nueva York, en Estados Unidos. El apoyo de ustedes es profundo y me levanta el ánimo diario. Y seguimos en la lucha. Es una cuestión de un equipo internacional como norteamericano, como medio ecuatoriano. Yo tengo 250 viajes a su país. Siento lo que pasó a su país debido a una compañía, una empresa de mi país. Tenemos responsabilidades como norteamericanos de trabajar con ustedes para buscar la justicia. Eso es lo que estamos haciendo. Seguimos la lucha y estoy muy agradecido. Me toca el corazón lo que hacen ustedes a favor de los afectados en Ecuador y también sus abogados. Gracias tanto. Thank you.
Stephen, can I ask you one thing? You were talking about the threats against others, Standing Rock, Line 3, these states and cities that are creating laws to criminalize protests. Talk about the threat beyond you to people fighting these pipelines, this pollution, and this greed and evil.
What's happening to me is a new fossil fuel industry playbook. designed to consolidate the power of this planet-destroying industry over anyone who wants to hold it accountable. Lawyers, advocates, defenders, activists. You see this trend all over our country. It's using the law as a weapon to intimidate people into silence, to stop dissent, and when it doesn't work, to actually put people in jail and lock them up when they don't obey what the corporations, the fossil fuel industry really wants. So our politicians, our electeds need to stop this trend. They need to pass laws to protect free speech, and they need to prevent the use of civil RICO, the racketeering law, against lawyers and activists who do this important frontline work to save the planet. Our legal system is so controlled by corporate power right now. It's gotten worse and worse ever since the inception of this case 28 years ago. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've experienced it. And it's a damn outrage that the United States of America, a lawyer, a successful human rights lawyer like myself, ends up 2 years locked up in his home with an ankle bracelet just because Chevron is able to control a pocket of the New York judiciary through these two judges. It's a damn outrage, and I'm demanding to be released immediately.
And President Biden talks a big game about human rights, freedom of, First Amendment, those kind of things. I haven't heard a damn thing from President Biden or anybody in his administration on your basic imprisonment.
Yeah, this is a major test for the Biden administration. They purport to support climate issues, the Green New Deal. Okay, you cannot support climate issues to save the planet and let lawyers in your own country who do the frontline work get locked up like this. Okay, the Justice Department, the Biden Justice Department, Merrick Garland, they need to step in and take this prosecution back from the private Chevron law firm. I am being prosecuted by a Chevron law firm criminally. They've deprived me of my liberty. I'm the only person ever in America deprived of his or her liberty on a misdemeanor prior to trial. And it's been almost 2 years. Maximum sentence prior to me is 90 days of home confinement. So Biden needs to step up. This has to become a major issue for the Biden administration, and we need more and more people to speak out.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So, as you can see, they're passing candles around now for a vigil for those that died in Ecuador due to Chevron's just totally criminal pollution of their waste. I'm going to let us move back here. By the way, you can't see this on camera, but there's literally no space here. I've been bending over 7 different ways. So that's why it looked like Stephen and I were about to kiss. I wasn't trying to get so close to him, but there's a speaker behind me and a lot of people. But as you can see, Susan Sarandon's back there. Hopefully I could chat with her. There's indigenous people here. There's Ecuadorian people here from New York. Stephen, obviously, his wife is here. It looks like well over 100 people are here. Right outside his apartment. So here we go.
I gotta get a count though.
Alexi, if you could hear me, it's your wife. Can you go get the other candles, please? The big ones?
But it's happened in New York. It's a combination of factors. The regular prosecution, so the judge, lawyers, private law firm, I think
Can you get the 4 candles?
Ultimately, we'll appeal what's happened. I think it's complicated enough in the U.S. judicial system that we will prevail.
So I'm just waiting here.
They are being
Real quick.
Okay.
So,
Okay. We need
that's Susan Sarandon, obviously.
Okay.
Susan with a candle.
I need to get by.
What's that? Who are you with? You just spoke with
Susan. Can I ask you something, Susan? Can I ask you something real quick? Hi, Susan. I wanted to ask you, you've been so politically active for so long. Between Julian Assange and this, what's going on with Stephen, have you ever seen this, Jordan?
This guy's
Hi.
he's great.
I know. We go way back, Jordan and I.
Have you ever seen something like this, a misdemeanor charge from a human rights lawyer, basically imprisoned for 2 years?
No, every time I try to explain it to somebody, they say, oh, he must have done something else. There must be some other extenuating circumstance. But there isn't. I mean, they basically, Chevron owns the judge, the prosecutor, there's no jury. And so not only is it extraordinary in terms of the injustice for the people of Ecuador, but what it means in the future for anybody that's a journalist like yourself or an environmental lawyer. I mean, basically, they've spent millions of dollars making their point that if you mess with Chevron, you're in trouble. And the fact that the mainstream media is doing their bidding and not covering this is a really telling sign in terms of what's going on with our lack of journalistic integrity.
And let me ask you, because Stephen was saying it's broader than just him. The attacks on people from Standing Rock, the attacks on protesters, water protectors at Line 3, states trying to make laws to criminalize protesters. There's a real attack, basically police, city government on behalf protecting these fossil fuel companies.
Well, and you know, the fact that you've got the ocean on fire and Line 3 has now been okayed gives you an indication of where the government's heart lies. And it's a very scary time. I mean, very scary, because this is just going to slip through if we don't make some kind of a ruckus, you know. And then the next time someone else will get thrown in and that doesn't have this kind of support, and you won't even know.
Would you like to see more organization and outspokenness from the progressives in the Congress, Bernie, not just on this, but Julian Assange as well?
Yes, I mean, that's in the same theme. The fact that Assange is, you know, what's gone on with him is just so terrifying in terms of the future of journalism in this country and truth, being able to hear the truth. I don't know what's happened to our progressive people. I mean, to even tweet something out when you have a huge following would be very helpful. And this isn't a complicated case. This is a really straightforward case. It's people versus greed. That's it. And, you know, what's happened to Assange is just unforgivable. Unforgivable.
And in particular, whether it's AOC, Jamal Bowman, it's in their backyard what's going on here. I haven't seen that much from them. What would be your message to Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, Congressman Jamal Bowman?
Well, I understand that AOC is camping right now because we've been trying to get in touch with her. And so as much as she loves the great outdoors and clean water, I hope that she reads the facts on this case. And though it's not her district, that she in some way understands the implications for everyone, and obviously Jamal Bowman also. Yeah.
Last question. You were mentioning it was 100 degrees in Canada the other day. The West Coast is extremely hot. It's very hot here, and President Biden is scaling back the climate proposals in the infrastructure deal. What do we do here? Because the planet's on fire, and essentially President Biden and the Democrats, along with the Republicans, are throwing Band-Aids at a gunshot wound.
We are praying to Arudam.
What can I say? You know, it's very discouraging because I thought we were supposed to push him, and I don't see anyone pushing. I mean, everyone knew going in where Biden's stance was on the environment. He's always supported fracking. He's always received money from oil and gas. So this isn't surprising, but it is surprising that we don't see anybody pushing. So if there's some behind-the-scenes strategy that we don't know about, I would really hope it kicks in soon.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Susan Sarandon.
Mañana se camoni, chingi, kundi tuna, rinsa panki tunki, namat nyawanu kaits, ami kakarmaru, na yemin manya, himu tuki nyasi namake, hinumbi puhoteri imteri, nekas masih rudrar, wakirne salusara tu sabinya para rumah, ami yak takiti kismaran tu kesahmu. Ipuhoteri and three, kagernetsu, wakirne sarmasi nekas, inungki, inendemderi, nekas, iuchri puhoteri, hingwara tu sabinya para rumah, ami yak takiti kismaran, kakamaran furusar tu sabinya para rumah, ami yak takiti kismaran tu kesahmu. Makiti. Gracias a todos los hermanos que están aquí presentes y al hermano Steven por hacer el hombre guerrero, luchador, como esa espada, este bastón que tenemos de mis ancestros, de mis abuelos, lo que ellos vinieron derrotando a todos los que nos destruían la naturaleza, la madre tierra, nuestras convivencias, nuestra selva, nuestra agua, nuestra flora, nuestra fauna, donde que las compañías petroleras nos han venido destruyendo y contaminando, creando miles de enfermedades, y el hermano Steven ha sido el hombre guerrero de salir al frente para poder luchar contra esa compañía petrolera que es el Chevron, que ahora nos está queriendo callarnos la boca, decir que no salgamos a la calle, y con más fuerza seguiremos saliendo. Muchísimas gracias.
Brother Stephen was Brother Stephen was able to confront and stand in a brave manner and fight the big giant Chevron. So we thank him. We thank him.
Muchísimas gracias.
Ellos pueden soplar la vela cuando quieran. You can now blow your candle out and say a little something if you want to and if you feel it. And then the basket is on this corner. You could take the candle with you, of course, as a memorabilia, and for you to keep praying for the souls suffering in Ecuador and for the ones that have already gone. And for the suffering of this world. So if you do need to leave the candle, please, let's not pollute. And let's bring the candles to the basket if you're not taking them with you. Thank you so much for everybody, for being here and caring and being human and connecting. And let's do this. Justicia! Free Donziger! 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 Okay. He's going to blow the main candles for his ceremony right now, and he said you can blow yours after his as part of the ceremony ritual. Sorry, I didn't know that part.
It's okay.
He just told me.
It's okay.
Gracias, Lino. Gracias, Pachamama.
So there's still a good amount of people out here. The rain has stopped. Obviously, these candles were for the people who have died in Ecuador, who have become sick in Ecuador with cancer and a lot of other illnesses. Stephen Donziger, I wasn't expecting it. He came out from his apartment. Susan Sarandon is here, and she pretty much called out Congresswoman AOC, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who she shared. They have been trying to get to share things about this, possibly attend one of these protests, but she was busy camping this weekend. It is the 4th of July, but, this is New York, where she represents, and she obviously is known for the Green New Deal, which is about the climate catastrophe. And here you have a human rights lawyer, really a hero, who fought Chevron and won. And, she's not here. As far as I know, she's not even retweeting, sharing, or supporting Stephen Donziger, which obviously would make a big difference with her following. I don't want to make this exclusively about AOC, but it continues a pattern, whether it's AOC, frankly, Bernie Sanders, other members of the squad. Where are they on Julian Assange? Where are they on Stephen Donziger? It's not just about Julian Assange or Stephen Donziger. It's about, do we live in a country or a new Gilded Age? Do we live in a country or do we live in the United Corporations of America?
They are only outside when they need votes. They don't deliver. I believe that Steve Donziger in the United States is a political prisoner, Julian Assange in the United Kingdom, and Mordechai Vanunu in Israel. 3 political prisoners. Vanunu is the one who published about the nuclear program at the Dimona, and he's being demonized in Israel. They don't let him leave. So people need to fight back, otherwise we're going to go to the Stone Age. We have become a banana republic. I'm from Ecuador, so they call us a banana republic, but I think we have acquired the same problems that we had in Ecuador, and now judges are for sale. The judicial system doesn't work. Both political parties are controlled by the same mafia. It's only a joke. It's like a wrestling game. Everything is prearranged. It's sad. It's sad.
Let me ask you from an Ecuadorian's perspective. You're talking about people that have died, people that are forever sick, and the justice they're supposed to get, they haven't gotten for decades.
They haven't got any justice. Chevron is a criminal enterprise. It buys judges. Originally, the case was here in New York, but they insisted to move the case to Ecuador. They probably thought that the Ecuadorian judges were cheaper to buy. Then they lost the case, and they brought the case back here. So they want to demonize Stephen Donziger. It doesn't make any sense. If we allow him, who is a well-educated person, an attorney, he happens to be white, and he studied at Harvard, which is one of the best universities. If they can do this with him, they will do it with anybody else. So they are trying to send an example that nobody dares to challenge the system. Chevron is a criminal enterprise, and I do believe that both judges, Kaplan and Prescott, should be investigated by the Southern District for the Southern Attorney for conflict of interest, because their behavior is totally irrational. Something is going on there, and they need to be investigated, and they need to be impeached if necessary.
Let me ask you, I heard a lot from the Democratic Party when Trump was president about attacks on the First Amendment, attacks on the press, attacks on human rights, but Julian Assange, Biden has continued that political persecution, and they're not doing a damn thing about this.
They're not doing anything. It's only a joke. It's a game. It's a game. Both political parties are controlled by the same power. It's only a charade. It's like a wrestling game. It's all prearranged. Biden talks about environmental justice. Let's put it to the practice. Order the release of this hero. He's a hero of humanity, and he's been tried to make an example so no other attorneys dare to challenge the corporate criminals.
And last question, I hear a lot about things are getting back to normal in America.
No, we're going back to the Stone Age. The United States is becoming a banana republic. I think that we have learned from banana republics. They call Ecuador a banana republic. I think we are becoming a banana republic, and now this is on the open. Because the last thing that wasn't corrupt was the judicial system, but now even the judicial system is for sale.
What's your name?
Rolando Bini. I'm the director of Parents in Action, a community-based organization. It's Parents in Action for Leadership and Human Rights.
You mind spelling your name for me?
Yes, Rolando, last name Bini, B like boy, I-N-I.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
I
to you.
appreciate it. Thank you. So that's from an Ecuadorian's perspective here, living in New York. We forget, not that we forget, but the focus is on Stephen, but don't forget, a lot of people, Ecuador is very far away, but the water in Ecuador, the black water that you saw from Chevron's toxic sludge, that has happened here in America too. If you remember Enbridge's spill in Michigan many years ago in Kalamazoo, one of the largest oil spills in American history. You've had Energy Transfer Partners, the parent company of Dakota Access Pipeline, has spilled all over the United States. Damaging water, killing animals, going through sacred lands. All of these things are interconnected. All of these things are interconnected. And people are dying. Either they're dying now or they get cancer, other autoimmune issues from this toxic pollution, whether it's in the water, in the air. It's really disgusting. And we have a president right now who's living in the 1980s. Focusing on bipartisanship and trying to get, Susan Collins or Lisa Murkowski or Mitt Romney over to his side, while it's 120 degrees in Canada last week, while it's 100, I think it was 105 on the West Coast in multiple cities. Here, it's July, but it's already feels like 100 degrees today. And nothing's being done. And I want to borrow from, I don't want to copy Susan Sarandon, but I want to borrow from her. Where the hell is the progressive movement right now? Where is Bernie? Where is AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Jamal Bowman, Cori Bush, Pramila Jayapal? You can't work with these people. They're corrupt. You have to fight these people. You have to shame these people. I see you standing here. Come on over. You want to be on? Hey, what's your name?
Michael White. Last time we talked, we were at an anti-war demonstration together, and we were walking down the street. By the time I got home, I had a lot of people saying, I just saw you on Status Coup. So
cool.
We had a good talk. I heard you talking about everything being interconnected.
Yeah, absolutely. The images that I have seen from the water in Ecuador, I've seen here too. And, it's different proportions, different scales, different death count, but it's the same old story. These companies have bought the government and now the judges and are essentially profiting while people are buried.
And we go to war for oil. These same companies drag us in. On WBAI this morning, Democracy Now!, you heard about the Exxon people explaining how they control the politicians. So I'm Michael White. I'm one of the co-founders of Citizens Defending Libraries. The reason that we don't want to see the libraries sold off, shrunk, the books eliminated is because it's also about information control. And that's also why I'm on the board of WBA, the local station board of WBAI, because it's terrestrial radio. It's a backstop against information control. It's a backstop against the way we shut down the internet. Shutting down Steve is shutting down information. The New York Times has not covered him, not since 2013. And we talked about we heard it talked about the conflict of interest, that the New York Times lawyer is one of the people who is prosecuting him. So we shut
They're not covering Julian Assange either.
We shut down Julian Assange. And then when Greg Murray goes out to cover Julian Assange, we shut down Greg Murray.
1 second. I just want to show this here. I'll get back to you in a second. So obviously the Ecuadorian flag. The Amazon holds the answers to questions we haven't asked yet. You have indigenous folks here. This little girl I took a picture of earlier, what a sign. Chevron poisoned kids. Stephen told the truth. Hashtag free Donziger. It's really beautiful. I've seen a lot of protests where people kind of bail because it's about to pour and rain. But there was a steady amount of people here the whole time. including Susan Sarandon, Roger Waters, Ron Kuby, who's Stephen's lawyer. So you were talking about the information war. I've been talking about this a lot because Silicon Valley is also part of this. They're shutting down live streams. They're suppressing not just our channel, a lot of channels who dare to cover Julian Assange, Stephen Donziger, other political prisoners. And I mean, other than a few congressional hearings that are really about right-wing extremism, and are these big tech companies doing enough, there's nothing about them suppressing these kind of movements, these attacks on the First Amendment.
The big tech companies are all monopolies. If you go back any time in history when you have huge monopolies, they laminate themselves with the government. You can ask the question, are the corporations in charge of the government and using the government as a puppet, or vice versa? Is the government using the corporations? It's really irrelevant because they've melded into one and the same. Now, what is important is that the corporations are transnational. So, we're talking about what happened in Ecuador. We're talking about what's happening around the world. So what happens is it's all transnational. We've got the intelligence communities, when you're on the internet, going through they'd love to know everything about us, scrape all of our data. They don't want us to know anything about them. They don't want us to know about the Steve Donziger case, and most people don't. I mean, it's really incredible that this outrageous total diversion from the rule of law. And I speak this as a lawyer. I mean, I don't understand. I am a lawyer. I don't understand it. I went to urban planning school. I spent a lot of time studying environmental law. I don't understand it. I mean, these were the things like maybe when I was young, maybe I would have gone in a different path. Maybe I would have done what Steve Donziger said, did, but I didn't. I've done other, hopefully good work. But people said, what's going to happen with the young lawyers? And they're deciding where they're going to go. And they say, well, if I go to work in environmental law, I go straight to prison.
That's a good point. For those watching that might not know the intricacies of this case, some of it's in the weeds. There's one thing that's very glaring, and you don't have to be a legal expert to think this stinks. So a federal prosecutor declined to prosecute Stephen Donziger based on that there's no case here. But the judge, after the federal prosecutor refused to prosecute him, I've never heard of this, but the judge hired a private lawyer to prosecute him somehow on behalf of the U.S.
And it's costing us huge amounts of hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxpayer money.
But how do you even do that? How does a judge hire a private attorney to prosecute a case that the federal government would not prosecute?
It's totally outrageous. You can't believe it. I mean, if they report it, I think, one thing is at least lawyers, when they talk about this, they say this is just totally insane, totally insane. I mean, and it's the same thing with the Julian Assange. I mean, if Ellsberg was out of prison because the government spied on him, you've got the exact same thing with Assange, and so much more that's so much worse. I mean, this witness, this supposed hacker or whatever, who just recanted, and nobody's pulling back. Again, Obama wouldn't push the envelope on this, but now that Trump pushed the envelope, Biden is willing to be much worse and not pull back.
And lastly, I asked Stephen about this. I hear a lot of talk in the media about things are getting back to normal, the economy's roaring back, which is bullshit, by the way. But this doesn't seem very normal to me, what's going on with Julian Assange, Stephen Donziger. There's a lot of other political prisoners, Craig Murray. There's DHS choppers flying over indigenous protesters in Minnesota demonstrating against Line 3.
The Venezuelan diplomat who's been kidnapped in Africa. We don't follow any law, and you can kill people without a trial. I don't know. We're in a very dangerous place, and with the big tech companies controlling so much information, and as I said, I'm a co-founder of Citizens Defending Libraries, and we believe in not selling off the books, keeping the physical books, which is It's a whole other world. It's a different way of getting information, and it means that you can't be monitored when you're reading and getting the information. You find the information differently, and the information can't be changed as you're reading it. It's not like with a digital book where you read the book and the digital book reads you at the same time and reports back to the publisher what particular paragraphs you were interested in, that kind of thing. And WBAI, look, Status Coup right now is on the internet, right?
We think.
We hope.
Yeah, we're on.
We'll go back tonight, we'll find out. But, a snap of the fingers, you are so vulnerable to being shut down at any minute. And they have so many ways of shut down. I write national notice. I wrote an article about, it happened to be about COVID and dogs and what they were saying. I was just quoting from government websites, and that article would not Google no matter what you put in. It was my first experience of that ever happening.
It's interesting you said that. I don't know who, but I just heard somebody who quoted the Declaration of Independence on Facebook got suspended for quoting the Declaration of Independence. So this is the badness we're living under. Last question I wanted to ask, Susan Sarandon actually commented on this. I don't know. I mean, not blaming progressives in Congress for what's going on with Stephen Donziger, but AOC sure has a big following, and this is New York. Bernie, God bless him, I haven't heard much from him about Julian Assange or this. Obviously, there's a lot of issues, but where's the progressive leadership on Assange as well as Stephen Donziger?
You're asking the right question. You're asking the same questions that Jimmy Dore and all the people he has on his show have been asking. I mean, was AOC ever for real, or is she just like Obama, really good at making speeches that sound right? Yeah, you're saying exactly the right thing. You say it so well. Someone is writing you really good scripts. And then when it comes to what you're actually supposed to do, you don't do it. So we had that experience with the libraries. We learned our elected officials very well. They have a way of being very good at saying the right thing to you, being believed, and then being ineffective in a very calculated way. And that's what we are seeing from AOC. I thought she was saying great stuff when she came on the scene, and now I don't believe one word she says.
What's your name again?
Michael White.
Michael White?
Michael D.D. White, because there's so many other Michael Whites. I tell people I always know that how poorly the economy is doing, because then I get all the dunning calls for all the Michael Whites that can't pay their bills.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Absolutely. So that was Michael White. Still people around here. Oh, can I interview you real quick? Come on over. I wanted to show your sign first. Justice for the Amazon and Guardians. Oh, yeah, I was showing this earlier. The Amazon holds the answers to questions we haven't asked yet. So let me ask you, what do you mean by the sign? What's your name first?
My name is Kat. So I was working in the Peruvian Amazon for about 3 years, southeastern, the Madre de Dios region. I was working, studying ethnobotany, the way people interact with plants down in the Amazon, and working with ayahuasca. And I feel like there's a lot of things in the jungle that we don't know about yet, and a lot of really useful things that could potentially the cure for COVID, the cure for cancer, the cure for depression, anxiety. I mean, anything could be down there, and we're just demolishing it. So, yeah, I think this quote's pretty appropriate. Yeah.
Let me ask you, because they had the candles for all the people that have died, gotten sick. Obviously, this is about Stephen, but, Ecuador is far away, but similar things have happened here. The black water you saw in Ecuador from Chevron, you've seen here from other oil companies. I think it's interconnected. Can you kind of describe to people, since you were there, just the utter devastation on the ground there?
Well, it's not just oil companies in this part of Peru I was in, although Hunt Oil has a huge presence there and has done some damage. Illegal gold mining is a big issue. It makes the rivers basically turn into sludge. It toxifies the water. The fish are filled with mercury. You can't eat them or you die. And fish is a staple of Amazonian diets. Illegal logging. All these ancient hardwood trees are getting cut down at alarming rates. And people get killed trying to protect them or trying to stop them, or even if they just see someone cutting down a tree, sometimes they get killed because they don't want witnesses. Coca coca is a big problem down there too. The cocaine trade. Indigenous people run into cartels and they just get slaughtered. So even if they're uncontacted people and they've never even seen a gun before, sometimes they just murder an entire tribe of people. So yeah, those are some of the big issues I ran into down there. Yeah.
And on Stephen in particular, what's really striking to me is we kind of live in this alternate reality where you have the Democrats were attacking Trump and his attack on the rule of law, First Amendment, all those things. But now the Democrats are in charge. You got Julian Assange. Biden has kept this going against Assange. And federal prosecutors said no to prosecuting him, but the Biden Department of Justice has not stepped in here. What are your thoughts just on, do we have any leaders anymore that actually care about press freedoms, First Amendment rights, human rights?
I don't know about that, but we don't seem to have any that care about the Amazon. So, I don't have much to say about it politically, but it's really fucked up what they're doing to him, and they should let him go. So,
thank you so much. I appreciate it. So, looks like they're taking a group photo here. Stephen's still out here, so I heard Stephen's lawyer screaming at him, "Go back inside." I guess maybe he only has X amount of time he's allowed outside, but I guess I don't know the particulars, but he's been out here for a while, so. Yeah. So John's going to dip the camera around over there. Still a decent amount of people out here. It's been on and off raining. I did hear some thunder clouds, but people are still out here. And, this is the kind of stuff that you see when you actually leave a studio as a journalist and show people what's really going on. Just really beautiful sight. Something beautiful that has come out of something so corrupt and unjust. Do you want me to hold up? Yes. Yeah. So there's Stephen in the middle. You have Ecuador's the flag of Ecuador, I believe that is. You got kids out here. Parents, indigenous individuals. Very beautiful. And by the way, thank you. I haven't been watching, but thank you for folks that have been leaving super chats. I hope if you've been watching, you consider becoming a member to Status Coup. We've been doing a lot of great in-the-field reporting. We just got back from our 2-week road trip through Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky, covering mass evictions that have already been happening, covering the explosion in homelessness around the country, covering what is a growing cover-up as far as Breonna Taylor's murder and the lack of justice there, and then going to West Virginia, where we really dug into Joe Manchin and his corruption. Thank you, by the way, to Crystal and Sagar, who had me on this morning on Breaking Points. Go check Breaking Points out on YouTube. They had me on to talk about some of our reporting. And here they're doing Free Stephen as they take photos. Still a good amount of people out here. And if you didn't hear, somebody asked Stephen, when's there going to be a verdict? When's there going to be a resolution here? And he said he didn't know. He doesn't know. So there's Stephen again. I don't want to bother him. I already interviewed him, but I know he wants to thank people for being out here. Can I interview you real quick? Oh, thanks.
My name's Jesse Cerati. I'm running for Congress in New York's 12th Congressional District. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for covering this, considering every mainstream outlet is not just avoiding this, they're intentionally hiding this story.
Avoiding it like the plague.
Avoiding it like the plague. Everybody's in bed with Chevron and Big Oil, and we've known this for years, and now we're seeing it play out in real time. And it's incredibly shameful that none of our major politicians, with a handful of progressives in Congress who put out a statement, but the majority have not said a thing. They are remaining completely voiceless on one of the biggest corruption cases of our generation. It is in mockery of the American courts. It is a mockery of our judicial system. And it is absolutely atrocious what they're doing to Stephen Donziger. It's even more atrocious what they are letting happen to the people of Ecuador and the waters of Ecuador and the animal life in Ecuador and the plant life in Ecuador. and around the world. This goes on and on and on, and it is just really fantastic that, you know, we have some local media showing up, that we have some local activists showing up, but, you know, we need more people. You know, yes, the trial is done for now, but people's voices have to stay out there. Politicians need to get involved, step up, show what their values are, or else they're going to be shown for them.
And I want to ask you, you said you're running for the 12th district?
Correct.
And what part of New York is that?
It's a district that covers 3 different boroughs, parts of Astoria and Long Island City, which is where I live in Queens, a bunch of the east side of Manhattan, as well as a little bit of Williamsburg and Greenpoint, Brooklyn.
So, I don't want to get you in trouble. I'm sure you're looking for endorsements, but where the hell is the progressive movement here? I haven't heard anything really from AOC, Jamal Bowman, the Squad Plus, Bernie, on Assange, not much at all. And this, maybe a tweet or two, I don't know. But obviously they have large followings. They could raise public consciousness. When they tweet about something, you get media coverage. I don't really see anything, and I don't get it. Obviously there's a pandemic and other things to deal with, but this is so obvious what's going on here. Even the federal prosecutor wouldn't prosecute this man, but our progressive leaders are kind of MIA on this issue.
You know, everybody's MIA on this issue, and you know, you said like, you don't get me in trouble. I'm running for Congress. I'm expected to get in trouble. You know, that's part of what this is. But you're right on one hand. You know, AOC, Jamal Bowman, and there were a few others who did put out a statement a month or so ago showing their support for Stephen Donziger. For the most part, it has been quiet otherwise. And it's because, you know, people like Carolyn Maloney, who I'm running against, you know, people don't expect her to get involved. She's a passive politician. She's a seat holder. Nobody wants to step up to anything that might, you know, put them in a corner with big oil, you know? These are people that they get their donors come from Chevron. Their donors come from the fossil fuel industry. Their donors don't come from Sunrise Movement. Sunrise Movement is here. That's how I got involved with this in the first place. They are, you know, there are some local progressive activists, but the ones in power are not showing up. That's part of the reason why I'm running. It's because we need people to show up who actually have the power to do something.
And let me ask you, because there's a lot of cynical progressives out there, they might, what's your name again?
Jesse Cerati.
Okay, Jesse. They might be hearing this and like, oh, I love this guy and what he's saying, but to hell with the Democratic Party. I don't care if it's Jesus, if they have a D next to their name. They're all full of it. I heard this same kind of talk from AOC, and they get in there and they sell out and what have you. What do you say to people that are, not just about you, but in general, who are cynical at this point because you have progressives in Congress? If they have a strategy, we don't know what it is.
Hold their feet to the fucking fire. Hold my feet to the fucking fire. You know, I'm showing up now as a private citizen, essentially. When I'm a public representative, I'm going to keep showing up here. And, you know, I hope other people who are running as insurgent candidates keep doing the same. There are more people who will show up that if they have a vision, if they have an agenda to actually change the way we operate as a society, then you better keep that vision, keep that fight for change once you're in office as well.
And I don't make a habit of giving politicians advice. I'm a journalist. But since you're not in yet, I'll give you a little free campaign advice. You're running against Carolyn Maloney. Guess you're running against Carolyn Maloney. Well, Carolyn Maloney is the oversight chairwoman. She took over for Elijah Cummings after he died. And guess what? We broke a massive story just a few months ago that proved former Michigan Governor Rick Snyder knew about the Legionnaire outbreak, the deadly bacteria that killed people in Flint because of the water crisis. He knew about it a year and a half earlier. We dropped that in The Intercept. We got his phone calls and a whole lot of other evidence. I reached out to Carolyn Maloney, who's the oversight chairwoman, because I believe perjury is still a crime in America. And former Governor Rick Snyder told Congress he didn't know about this till January 2016. Did not hear back from her. So just a little free advice. Might not be an issue in New York, but I think people care about Flint still. So she hasn't done a damn thing, even though we broke this story showing that he lied to Congress.
Well, if we have representatives who don't care about environmental issues or health and safety issues in their own country, why do we expect them to care about what's happening in Ecuador? We should care about what's happening in Ecuador, and we should care what's happening in Flint, and we should care about what's happening here in New York City. We should care about the destruction of East River Park. We should be concerned about the destruction of the wetlands in Staten Island. And, you know, our politicians aren't doing shit about what's happening here in their own city, in their own country, let alone what's happening to Stephen Donziger and with the people in Ecuador.
And tell people who want to know more about your campaign, where can they find out more?
My name is Jesse Cerati, and my website is jesse4newyork.com or jesse4ny.com. You can go there. I have my
Number 4 or spelled out?
Spelled out, jesse4ny.com. We have ways to join, volunteer with the campaign, to donate. We have policy platforms already up. We have a Sustainability for All plan, which focuses on environmental issues such as, you know, stopping big oil like Chevron, as well as other platforms as well. I'm on social media at Jesse Cerati. That's Jesse, last name Cerrotti.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it. Absolutely.
And by the way, really quickly, we met last year at the city budget vote to defund the NYPD. I was running for city council at the time, and I stepped down to endorse my friend Tiffany Caban, who is now won her seat in city council. You know, we now have an abolitionist in city council. We have people who are, you know, New York City politics are changing slowly but surely with people like her. And now we're just continuing to fight. You know, we're fighting in the streets and we're fighting overseas. Well, we're fighting in the streets and we're you know, working for justice all around the world.
Well, we are fighting overseas for the oil companies, that's for sure.
We are fighting the oil company. Yeah.
Thanks again.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank
it. You know, this is what happens when your status quo and you continually go out there. I think that's like the third person I've interviewed that has been like, oh, I spoke with you at this place, that place. I got a terrible memory. I remember half of them, but this is what happens. So it's breaking up a little bit, so we're going to close down shortly. A few things. Number one, thank you for watching. Number two, you know, you do whatever you want, but I just wanted to tell you, I'm wearing a mask because I've had a cough for a few days. I got a COVID test. It was negative, but that was a rapid test. I haven't gotten the more exact one back. So I wanted to wear a mask to just, you know, protect people. Also, there is this Delta variant going around. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to trigger the truthers out there, but the Delta variant, which has been people who have been vaccinated, 2 vaccines, 2 shots, have been getting it. And it's particularly bad right now in New York City. So that's another reason I was wearing a mask. Obviously, you know, that's your decision if you want to wear a mask or not. But that's why I'm wearing a mask. It was also packed here, really packed. People, I think I saw a comment, Jordan, you're about to kiss Susan Sarandon. I had nowhere to go. It was packed. So sorry if I was too close to anyone. But I really think this is why we do what we do. It's to show you what's actually going on. You're certainly not seeing this anywhere else. Not CNN, not MSNBC. Hell, as Stephen pointed out, the New York Times is a 30-minute walk, much quicker drive. They haven't covered it once. He's been in his apartment now up there for 700 days. They haven't covered it once. Is it because their lawyer is also with a law firm that's going after him? Yeah, that's probably part of it. But the other part is, go look at who advertises with the New York Times. A lot of fossil fuel companies. The New York Times actually did, I'm paraphrasing, but a state of oil or some type of conference that I saw a year or two ago before the pandemic. So this is our media. It's not just the New York Times. You got Politico and other places, sponsored by Amazon, their newsletters, Goldman Sachs. I mean, this is the rot. This is the rot of our media system. This is why myself, Jen, John behind the camera, literally break our backs, scratching some quarters together to take road trips, build and cover things in the field, not just in our studio, without taking corporate money. Trust me, it's a lot harder. We just got back from a 2-week trip, I don't know, a week ago. We drove through 4 states. It was exhausting. I think I was interviewing like 4 people, 5 people a day. Barely had time to pee, much less, you know, eat 3 meals a day, all that. But we do it because it's important. And this is part of why, you know, a couple of days ago I went on a little bit of a rant on our YouTube because honestly, it's not that, you know, people shouldn't want to click on things that are a little more entertaining, you know, YouTube channels and hosts ripping each other to threads. I don't want to relitigate that, but there's like major fucking crises, major corruption, major injustice everywhere in this country. And we need more independent channels, whether you're a reporter, a commentator, whatever, to cover these types of things and cover them a lot. Because we're not going to get the corporate media to cover it. So the only way to reach people that might not know about what's going on is to cover it. Whether it's you going out to cover it, like out there, or just, you know, commenting on it and getting other people to do commentary and sharing the hell out of it. So thank you guys for watching. Quick announcement, I tweeted it, but starting tomorrow, so Wednesday, we will be doing a weekly exclusive live stream on Rockfin. A weekly, every Wednesday, 4:30 Eastern on Rockfin. So what that means, if you want to watch us on Wednesdays, gotta sign up for Rockfin. You can sign up premium Rockfin, $9.99 a month. You'll get our premium show as well as other hosts' premium show there. It's also great for Status Coup. Obviously, I'm not going to get into full details, but it does give us an opportunity for guaranteed revenue. And if we get to a certain amount, which is 100 paid subscribers on Rockfin, our threshold for guaranteed revenue from Rockfin goes up a good amount. So this is only going to help us grow. Obviously, you know, we're not asking you if you're already supporting Status Coup as a member or a patron. If you don't have another $9.99 a month, we totally get it. But if you're not supporting us at all, definitely consider signing up at Rockfin. Oh, I'm going to botch it. Hold on. I think I have it in the tweet here. Yeah, rockfin.com/status coup. Rockfin.com/status coup. Please, please, please. We're doing this for a variety of reasons. Number one, we like what Rockfin's doing. We believe in what they're doing as an alternative to YouTube. They actually let you say what you want. They don't censor you for words or titles. They don't suppress you. But number two, we really want to expand so we're not just dependent on YouTube. So definitely, if it's within your ability, sign up for premium content. We'll be live once a week, every Wednesday, 4:30 Eastern Time, 1:30 Pacific on Rockfin. That's rockfin.com/status coup. Hopefully, I'll see you there tomorrow. We won't be live anywhere else but Rockfin tomorrow. And then I'll be back on YouTube on Thursday.